Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So it turns out the Liberal Democrats want to destroy the family unit and then allow women to retire 5 years earlier, despite living at least 5 years longer, because of equality. So, from the BBC, election 2019 again, your question's answered. What are parties saying on childcare? So, initially they say, what will each party do to help full-time working parents with financially crippling childcare costs? This comes, of course, from the issue created by saying, yes, women should be working too, not being given a choice, but they should be working. By working, of course, I mean part of a faceless corporation, essentially, because we all know what they think about entrepreneurship over here, and we don't have the American dream like they do in America, for example. And therefore, we wish to double the labour force, in which case women have to work, and that of course, decreases wages because now you've got twice the people available to work, so the wages don't have to be nearly as high. What does that mean practically speaking? It means it's the children who suffer. And maybe the women as well, if they don't do a job that they wish to be doing. With that in mind, both Labour and the Liberal Democrats have promised extra money to support the parents of young children. Is this for them to be able to take time off work and actually spend time with their children so that the children have the feeling that their parents want to be there for them? Or is it the much more sinister motive, which is that they will pay for children to be raised by a stranger and then isolated from the parents, ostracised from the parents, being given the impression that the parents would rather be working than be able to be with the child? Well, of course it is the latter. They would much rather have strangers raise the children instead of the parents of the child be able to create a strong family bond with their children and be able to create a more cohesive family unit, which is evil as far as I'm concerned. They wish to encourage the removal of children from their own parents as much as possible. So how do they go about this? Of course they don't frame it that way. They say instead, Labour said it would spend £1 billion on opening 1,000 new early years Sure Start centres in England. It is part of a £4.5 billion package, which also includes 30 hours free childcare for all 2 to 4-year-olds. Yes, later and later. The Liberal Democrats are promising working families free childcare for children from the age of 9 months. They said their £14.6 billion policy is an investment in the country's future and would be funded by tax changes. Yes, so parents, go work more, we'll tax you more, so that now your children can go spend some time with a stranger being raised by somebody who doesn't care about them, doesn't love them, and has no particular bond with them, instead of yourself, who would much rather be with the children. And you can ask any parent about that. Would they rather be at work, or would they rather be with their own children? Vast majority, particularly mothers, funnily enough, say they would rather be with their children than have to be slaving away at work for a job that they don't really care about. If they do care about the job, of course, they wouldn't be wanting children in the first place. It is a choice to have children, and for those people who choose to have children, it's probably because they actually want to have children. They want to be with their children and not have to spend time away from them. They want children, they want a family, they don't want an extra cost. That seems to be how you're taking it. They've made the choice, I'd rather have a family life instead of having to be slaving away at this job, whereas they're saying, no, you should still be slaving away at that job and just send this child off somewhere else. So, well, they're not really your child anymore then, are they? They're just another cost and inconvenience. How disgusting is that? Especially from a party that seems to care about feelings and emotions. They say all 3 and 4-year-olds in England are currently entitled to 570 free hours per year, typically taken as 15 hours per week across 38 weeks, the school year. Some working families are eligible for 30 hours free childcare. The Conservatives say they have increased the funding and quality of childcare provision while in government. How terrible. And it's also seen, funnily enough, to say that it's typically taken as 15 hours per week across 38 weeks the school year. Right, so when parents actually have the possibility and the chance to be with their children, they would much rather be with their children. Almost as if they want to be with their children. Why are you discouraging this? Fucking stop it. Are you wondering why suicidal tendencies are so high? Why isolationism and the feeling of isolation and ostracization of the children is so prevalent? Have you considered that maybe it's things like this, of them not seeing their parents enough, of them feeling like they're not loved? That they feel as if their parents would much rather be spending some time away from them than with them. and you're encouraging that behaviour. In fact, you're kind of stopping it from not being the case, preventing them from being with their children. How disgusting. They say, does the year's maternity pay also apply to fathers? In this, yes it does. Well done for being equal, well done. They say shared parental leave allows parents, after birth or adoption, to share up to 50 weeks of leave and up to 37 weeks of pay between them. Yes, it is between them. Whoever decides to take time off, obviously they're given more, and then their partner works more. They don't care if it's male or female. So yes, successful equality, well done, jolly good work. And then individual companies might decide to give more than the government mandates. So what are the party's policies on flexible working for parents? They say all employees have the legal right to request flexible working after spending 26 weeks in a row in their job. Labour recently confirmed a pledge made in February to give workers the right to choose their working hours from their first day in a job, which is fine unless, of course, your job requires you to be there for a particular meeting, a particular event, or, as tradition created for a reason, it requires people to all be together at a particular time, if not for quite a long particular time, in order to be able to do things together and be more productive and friendly in that time. And by friendly, of course, I mean actually being able to form relationships and having that human component within it. So, lots of companies allow part-time working. Can MP stand as a job share? Who cares? Is any party going to lift the 2-child limit on tax credits and benefits? The concern here is, of course, that instead of creating a family unit because you want children and being able to raise them up in a sustainable way that's good for the children, people would instead just decide, hey, we can take money off of other people and just, especially for single mothers, just decide to marry the state, and the more children they have, the more support they get, and then they can just live off that. The Tories stop it at 2, but although other parties haven't released their manifestos, the SNP's election campaign launch, at that, Nicola Sturgeon said that it would end the 2-child limit. The Conservative Party previously claimed that ending the benefit cap would cost £190 million a year, but they say it's likely to be an overestimate. So, instead of saying you should be responsible for your own actions and have a positive effect on your children by saying, hey, you've got to be able to afford your own life actions, and that includes, having children, but at least we're going to be setting that example from your first day in the world. So they say, no, you can trust the government to take from other people in order to help you out with it. Thing is, of course, as the argument is for taxation, to say, well, it's going to stop people from doing this kind of behaviour, it's going to prohibit them and discourage them, like with alcohol tax, also done in Scotland. The same goes for incentivising particular behaviour if people get paid for it. The same as then getting paid for having children, even if you can't afford to raise them up in a responsible manner. So again, it's encouraging bad behaviour. Then they go into pensions. So the state pension age for women was increased to 65 in 2018, so that it's the same for men and women, despite men dying sooner. A move critics say was unfair. Yes, because now it's fair. So of course that's unfair for women, because they're expected to do the same as men. Oh, woe betide me. They argue those born in the 1950s were not given enough time to make adjustments after the qualifying age was raised from 60. As always, you shouldn't trust the government to be able to do anything for you, because ordinarily it can't, in which case you should make your own provisions. Private pensions are always more profitable than public pensions or state-run pensions after all. So take care of yourself, and of course if you choose to have children, then if you can raise them in a way that they actually love you, which is becoming more difficult, seeing as the societal norms seem to say that families aren't good and, hey, white people, stop giving birth anyway. But if you can raise them in a supportive role, then they will decide that they wish to help you out in your later years as well. Similarly, but of course was mandated in China, whereby the sons were essentially born into slavery by saying that they had to take care of their parents in old age, whereas the girls did not. Because the girls were given that leeway in saying that they didn't have to take care of their parents, the parents, as an insurance policy, during the one-child policy, decided that it was too risky to have daughters, and therefore they'd have to have sons instead, hence them killing so many of their daughters, because they knew that their daughters would not have to take care of them, whereas their sons would. So again, something trying to help out the girls, then backfired. Same as feminism always does, which is why now you see that, broke men is apparently bad for women. Same as 1 in 4 women are homeless. One in 4 homeless people are women. Sorry, not 1 in 4 women are homeless. Got darn. But yes, 1 in 4 people who are homeless are women, which is clearly a female issue. Why are there so many women who are homeless? Like, well, there you decide who are the 3 and 4. Same as, the worst casualties of war are the women because it's their husbands, fathers, brothers, sons who are dying in war. So yes, not the actual people who are dying and actually fighting in the war. No. The same as I started off with, saying that broke men, well, that's difficult for the women to find someone worthwhile. So of course, not more difficult for the actual men who are broke and having a difficult time just to get by day to day. There'll be no pleasing these people. Men have always been disposable, and women have always been respected and revered and idolized, and that's why you're creating these problems when you're trying to create equality in a different form while still holding those standards and values. It will just never work. It's incongruent. So they've got campaign group Women Against State Pension Inequality, by which they mean equality, wants a bridging pension to cover the gap from the age of 60 until their state pension is paid. Another group, Back to 60s, calling for a repayment of all the pensions women born in the 1950s would have got had they been able to retire earlier. Wow, yes, pay women more money, because that's equality. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon previously called on the government to reverse the policy. The Liberal Democrats voted in favour of a motion at their party conference that would see the women properly compensated. So they're saying, yes, women, despite living longer, should get their pension earlier. And despite, apparently, earning less and therefore paying less in taxes, they should be receiving more later. So they're paying less, they're living longer, they're taking more. Because that's equality, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned, take care of yourself, which includes having children who will take care of you. But, as always, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If this is a particularly spicy take, or if I'm just wrong about all this, and this all makes sense of a broader plan that I haven't yet seen. Do please let me know. I'm always intrigued to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I will see you next time. Enjoy your weekend.